Welcome to the milk bar. 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 Welcome to the milk bar.
Welcome along to episode 619 of The Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And coming up on the show this week, we'll be hearing from Andrew Eborn about his book of failure, which will help make sure that you don't fail. We'll be looking for success in the world of health and fitness as Tom Morgan joins us for a bit of a catch-up and talk about what it's like being back in the gym. Martyn is along. We'll be having a natter with her, hearing some music direct from her base in the Netherlands and finding out what's going on in the wonderful world of bingo, which is appearing in at the minute. On top of that, we'll be catching up with Josh Griffiths, finding out what's happening with him and the latest film he has, which will be going into production very, very soon. And we have music as well from Sam Lambeth. He will be along ahead of the release of his brand new EP. That's all coming up on The Milk Bar this week. Martyn has been working hard as ever, entertaining the masses from a Netherlands base. It's almost like a secret lair for organ music, to be fair. And she's with me now for a bit of a catch-up. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Jason, thank you. I think the Dutch are getting used to my accent.
The Midlands accent is a wonderful one, and I think there's some definite similarities, I think, aren't there? So you must fit in very well.
Very much so. I am settling in very well, and would you believe it, there are Dutch on the Dutch television, there are BBC 1 and 2, so I watch English programmes every day, so it's quite funny.
Yeah, it's easy to be a bit of the UK and the Netherlands, and two great nations who are very much friends. And you've been performing online, and also been doing quite a bit of work with your bingo stuff as well. So explain a bit more on that for those who haven't picked up on this previously.
Well, really, this is a continuation of the previous bingo show that I used to do, but it's not connected with the same people, if you know what I mean. But I'm working with Rusty again, and Christopher Biggins, Mr. Motivator, and Linda Lusardi. 4 times a month, I become a human jukebox.
Okay, impressive stuff. And I mean, having had a chat with Mr. Motivator last week, he is very high energy, so I should think he's got some good moves and grooves when needed.
Well, yes, but I have to disguise music, and the 4 celebs have to guess, as well as the players in the rooms, they have to guess what I'm playing. And this is proving to be a challenge for them, because we had Chico on one week, and I actually played his It's Chico time and disguised it so much he didn't get it. so that has remained a one-up for me.
But a good bit of fun. I mean, and you know your music as well. With the study that you've done over the years, it must be great being able to have a little play around with some classic songs. I mean, obviously Chico Time is an absolute classic song, isn't it?
It is, yes. I tell you what I've been working on a lot lately, Jason, because the jazz is very good in Holland here. They have a North Sea Jazz Festival every year, but of course, because of the COVID, they haven't had it this year, which is such a shame. But once that the outdoor music activities take place, hopefully I may become part of that and the Swiss Jazz Festival, which I've already done previously. So
an awful lot going on that is also going to expand once restrictions allow. And how is it feeling over there at the minute? Because I know the Netherlands have been doing reasonably well with their vaccination programme too.
They have been doing reasonably well, although it was halted at the beginning. But I actually get my first jab tomorrow. I'm on the second one in June. But at the moment now, to be perfectly honest, where we are living, which is right out in farming country, potato fields, it's like where I was in Brood, but a little quieter. There's a school, and there's no shop in the village where we live, but it's so lovely that I've got this beautiful studio which my lovely hands built for me. And if I tell you we've got 23 instruments in this room, and those are just keyboards and pianos, we've got 3 pianos in here, 9 organs, and I can get up in the morning, and if I start at the Hammond, I can make my way all the way around.
Well, yeah, you're at the Steinway at the moment, which has travelled with you, and I've met that particular wonderful piece of equipment in real life in the past. But you've obviously say you've got all sorts in there, and say the room is looking fantastic compared to the last time I had a chat. It was very much a building site at one point, but now it's looking amazing. And you know, it must be great having that sort of facility as well. I know you've played on some of the most amazing pieces of music equipment across the world. So have that world-class facility at home must be really good.
It's super. The only thing I haven't got in here is a cinema organ, like the old cinemas when they used to play for the silent film. But the Dutch are very into organs, and there is a beautiful theatre in Hilversum, which is where the television studios are, and they've actually got a beautiful organ in there, which I've just recently, in the middle of all the corona scare and whatnot, went and did a concert, and I actually played to live people who were masked up but sitting quite a good space away. That was in February. So that was lovely to be able to get my hands back on a theatre organ here. Fingers
crossed we see lots of that sort of event taking place, and it'd be great if there was something that was a full TV production that we could see you involved in the not too distant future. I'm sure that's probably not far away.
Oh, that would be lovely. And even when I come back to the UK, it would be lovely to be able to set up a tour. And I think that's in the pipeline at the moment, Jason.
As things settle, we'll be able to see all that happening. And let's get you vaccinated first, so that would be good to do.
Oh, yes, I can't come without that. Yeah, Boris won't let me.
No, that's the rules. But there we go. So, I mean, you have the Steinway there. It'd be wrong not to hear you play something on it. What are you going to share with us today?
Well, do you want a bit of jazz, or do you want a bit of Latin? Or
I don't want Chico time, I know that much. But a bit of jazz would be jolly good fun. So take it away.
Right. Okay, let me just switch the drums on here then.
Ooh. Excellent. Even operates the drum machine herself at the same time. That is impressive. And it's halfway across the room, but there we go. That's Jean, always good to have a catch up with you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the road. Would you have got that tour, so we'll get you back on, and whether it's in real life whilst you're over here, or whether we do a precursor to your travel, we will certainly be a joy to find out what's happening, and then to actually see you at a gig. I'll be looking forward to coming along.
Lovely, Jason. Thank you for the invitation. Love to everybody in the UK. Love you all. Miss you, and hope to get back soon. God bless.
Andrew Eborn is on his second book of failure. That seems like an interesting statement in itself. He's all sorts of things to so many people, including mentalist, TV presenter, president of Octopus TV, and he joins me now to tell me a bit about what's going on in his world in the book. Hello, sir.
How are you doing, Jason? It's lovely to join you.
Well, thank you for having the time to spend with us, and it is lovely to speak to you too. Now, the book itself, I have to admit, I have skim-read a few chapters so far, and the way you explore, not only with wit, but clear intellect and understanding, so many different areas is not only good fun, but also it just goes to show how you are able to help so many people in business with your insights into the world. So we can't do too many spoilers, but give us a bit of the background to how the book itself came about to begin with.
Well, sure. Well, there are so many people focus on success And every possible book is looking at success and talking and gloating about how successful they are. But so many people reject or reflect or fail to deal with the fact about the failures that led to that success. And so what I thought, I'd turn the tables, if you like, and look at the various failures throughout history and notice that there was a pattern. And I noticed that basically if necessity is the mother of invention, then failure is the father of success. And what happened then is, as a result, I started working with several companies, helping them to maximize the rights that they owned, helping them with their expansion around the world, but also looking at political parties, looking at election results. I managed to get 100% success rate in predicting what would happen in elections, how companies would expand their businesses around the world. And all of that was based on shining a light on how other people have failed in the past and making sure that we avoid those mistakes.
And this is part of being a futurist, one of your other roles. And I mean, that in itself can be an interesting one to try and predict what will and won't work. And particularly with the world of technology, there are so many things which both can and can't go wrong. Who would have guessed that after so many handheld devices that look just like an iPhone, it would be the iPhone that would take off, that sort of thing. And it's those surprises and having that understanding of the industry that you're able to, say, build on your experience and share some insights to others.
You know, absolutely. And it's actually not a surprise. As I say, I'm engaged by companies around the world to talk about new technology and about how you flatten the learning curve. Because so many people say, look, I can develop this technology. Technology has been around for a very long time to assist people get their message across. But what happens is, and I genuinely believe that the more means there are to communicate, the less we're able to communicate. And what people forget is we've got all these wonderful devices. We're permanently on, we're permanently connected. And yet people still fail to get this core message. Why and what are you saying to people? All that technology does is give you a means to pass on that message. So I think that's the key, is work backwards. We are able to communicate. These are the means we can communicate and utilize those in our armory, if you like. But make sure that you get that central message right. And that's what I help people do. But we also look at the patterns, as I say, the patterns of behavior. People always say that history repeats itself, but I maintain the reason that happens is because people don't learn the lessons of history. And if you look at what's happening currently in the political world, and again, it's all in the book, the Andrew Eborn Book of Failure, 2nd edition, with foreword by Mike Reed. You've got to get the plug in there as well. What happens is that I set out a roadmap as to how to win any election. What you look at is, again, the elections that we've got coming up, or maybe by the time this goes out live, effectively, already happened. What I've done is set out the predictions as to what will happen in this election. And already it's come true. There's a whole thing about misdirection. As you know, I'm a member of the Magic Circle as well. And as a member of the Magic Circle, one of the key things that we use is misdirection. And that happens in the world of politics and business and so on and so forth as well. And if you can distract people from the central issues, then what happens is people try and change the mindset as a result of it. And a classic example of that is what's happening about Boris and the Downing Street redecoration. Is this curtains for Boris, the headlines will scream, or what I love, all those sort of interior resign, you know, all these little sound bites that people come up with. All this is a distraction from the sort of central issues, but it's very, very predictable. So political parties in a run-up to any election will all start slinging mud and sleaze and so on and so forth. But the general public are getting wise to this. If you look at how the polls are actually reflecting some of this, they they expect some of these things to happen. And therefore, the more mud that you throw, what tends to happen is people say, well, hang about, this is all about spin. And we're getting wise to spin now. We need to look at the issues, question everything. That's what I sort of emphasize everybody to do. And it applies also, Jason, to the news. What I urge people to do is we recognize now that if you go to one particular source for your news, you'll get that view, and it's only a view. So what I recommend that people do is get their views from many different sources. So we would look at the BBC, we look at ITV, we look at Al Jazeera, we look at Russia Today. All these different views will help you then make an informed decision for yourself based on that information.
Yeah, and then say there's that much information around us in this world these days. It's so much more accessible than previously. You had to be well read in the past. These days you're well browsed, and I think it's the browsing which can sometimes take away from that.
Oh, I think you're right. I love the phrase, well browsed, you know your stuff, don't you? It's all good. Well, they used to say that if you didn't read the newspapers, then you're uninformed. But now if you read the newspapers, you're misinformed. And I think it's going to my sort of central point on that. Do question everything. And the other thing, Jason, as well, what happens is that people tend to hunt out views that confirm their own opinions. So the reason why, if you're looking at the ways to influence people, which is what I'm engaged to help people do, what you do is you turn around and realize there are certain people who don't want to be influenced. What they're trying to do is they are looking for views that confirm their own prejudices. You'll read a certain newspaper which will have a certain political view. You'll go to a political channel or a certain view which confirms that. You'll surround yourself with friends in social media who have the same views as you. And what happens, it then becomes confirming those sort of prejudices, if you like. What you're looking for are those in the middle between the two extremes, those who say this will never happen, those who say this will always happen. It's those in between who keep an open mind who are the ones you need to influence, because they're the ones who will help you secure victory.
Mm-hmm. And then when it comes down to the press and papers as well, I mean, it's very often that there are those who claim to be independent, and sometimes it's with a small eye that it can actually sound more biased than not.
Well, I think that the great thing about if you tell a lie often enough, it becomes the truth. And I think you can claim, you can go for these little sound bites. What do you want people to feel? You feel that you're independent because all the political parties are corrupt, and therefore you've got to pick somebody who's independent. It's a wonderful spin. And I think that's what happens now, avoiding the sultans of spin. We're getting wise to this sort of stuff. There used to be the saying that hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I think now it's hell hath no fury like a spin doctor scorned. Never upset those people. They're the people who deal with your brand, and they're the people who could damage your brand, knowing all these sort of intimate little secrets behind the scenes. But I think just looking at the label of somebody is rather like judging a book just by its cover. Unless, of course, it's the book of failure.
Which is a fantastic cover, and as you've mentioned, has got Mike Reed on it as well, because he's done the foreword for you. And what is it like when you're getting responses back from people like Mike? I mean, Mike's well known for having good, strong opinions around everything from the world of music through his talents in broadcasting. So, he's one of those people who would be able to back up and have great times working with you on the likes of Octopus TV.
Yeah, no, Mike's a great chum. We've worked together on, and we've done various broadcasts together, had various businesses together, and so on and so forth. And it's been a joy working with him. But he's a legend in broadcasting. And he was from a time when at the BBC, you might remember things like Pop Quiz used to have 10 million. You're only 42 at the moment, aren't you? But you would have grown up on Pop Quiz and so on and so forth.
I'm afraid I'm 49, but yes.
Are you 49
I'm getting
now?
on,
I was trying to shave off those 7 years.
But I do remember Martyn's Pop Quiz. In fact, I had the game for the Commodore 64, so that definitely shows my age.
Oh, there you go. I love it. Which is also good because it means that your website as well is deliberately peddling those lies as well, because your website puts you down as 42.
I see you've been sneakily checking up on me. And
I always thought so sneaky. Your favourite colour is green. You went to the university in Liverpool. You studied chemical physics. All this stuff is great, and you love the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I do, all quality stuff, and it's going to be up there with books to read alongside your work as well, naturally now. But
we say alongside. Sorry, just pick you up on that, Jason. We say alongside. There's only one place for the Book of Failure. You've got to get it up there. Boot off that Hitchhiker's Guide.
But I mean, having look through the book, there is some amazing takes on things, and it really does start to cause you to think below the surface. I mean, when you even look at the film Cats and the panning that had, which the amount of effort and work and the people who've gone into it, you wouldn't have expected that sort of reaction. And it's very much the way in which the media has chosen to react to something in many ways, rather than the true reality of what some real fans of it will have as their opinion.
Oh, I think that's absolutely. I mean, it just shows you had a 100 million budget. You had A-list celebrities coming out of your ears. You had the most glorious. All of the elements would have suggested this would have worked. And yet, what a perfect disaster it was. But it's what we needed. We love our failures. We embrace those failures as well. I'll tell you what, the critics had a field day. The punsters were out there in force, coming up with every catastrophe, perfect failure, the dog's dinner, all of this sort of stuff. Without that wonderful failure, where would we have been at that time? We needed that failure.
These things do help. And it then puts everything else back into perspective very often, doesn't it, as well?
Oh, no, I think that's right. You need to. The reason that you have the yin and yang is that you need to have the bad times so that you can appreciate the good times. And as I say, that's what happens. A lot of people engage me to look at those lessons. Otherwise, you just keep repeating the failures as a result of it. And I think that's what they always say. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that's what I would do as a strategic advisor to massive corporations, as you know, around the world, and also brands and individuals as well, is you look at where they want to go and the route map, if you like, the route to get there. And as a result of it, if you've got a very, very clear vision, you've got a very clear message, and we can help you hone that as well. What happens is you look at others and what they have done in the past and why they may not have succeeded. And if you learn those lessons, and I set out the secrets as to how you can do that all in the book, if you learn those lessons, I guarantee success, which is why we've had 100% success record.
Well, it's all in the book, and certainly go out and get yourself a copy, whether it's in real life or in the electronic form. And you can not only be entertained at the same time as learning, you can also make sure that you don't go the way of so many others who have in the past. Well, Andrew, great to speak to you. Thank you for joining us. Give us all the details of not only where we can find you on the socials, but where we can get our hands on a copy of your book of failure.
Absolutely. Well, you can follow me at Andrew Eborn at Octopus TV. You can watch the Andrew Eborn show on all of the channels. And the book itself, the Andrew Eborn's Book of Failure, the second edition, is available in all good bookshops and a few dodgy ones as well. You can find it online. And also as a special thing for the Milk Bar, who's celebrating, what I love, they're celebrating is your 619th edition, isn't this?
This is it, yes.
Yeah, you see, I looked at that as well. Although you cheated a bit because you had your pilot episode, didn't you?
Oh, that didn't count.
Well, you had a good one there because you had people from Big Brother and that sort of stuff. You had the wonderful Zoe there as well. So
yes,
technically 620. But we'll do a special. I'll put a link up where the first 8 people who want to get a copy, I'll put some on eBay, special signed copies, very rare signed copies, and I'll give you a link for that as well. So you can find that on eBay, Eborn. It's the Andrew Eborn Book of Failure. It's the second edition with foreword by the legendary Mike Reed. Get your copy now.
Andrew Eborn, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being the character that you are, and I think the world will be a poorer place without you.
You're a star. Thanks, Jason. Lovely to speak.
Sam Lambeth is exceptionally creative. You'd never stop in getting up to something interesting in the wonderful world of music. And he joins me now to tell me about his latest work. Hello, sir.
Hiya, Jason. Thanks for having me back on.
Well, it's always good to talk to you. So what have you got going on at the moment?
I'm releasing my debut solo EP called Love and Exile on Friday, the 28th of May.
So building up to a fantastic release over a bank holiday weekend, and if only that meant you were going to be doing several gigs around the region, but it's not quite going to be like that this time.
Not at the moment, no. Hopefully, as things become a bit more normal, as COVID settles down, hopefully that will be the plan, and I'll do a few gigs on my own and with a live band. But at the moment, there's just the one local gig that's booked in, and that's the headline gig, which is on Friday the 16th of July in Dead Wax in Birmingham.
Now, this hasn't been an easy one to pull together due to a few problems. Is that an understatement?
Yeah, it's my own fault, really, because obviously I decided to book a gig during the height of a global pandemic. So I think when I booked the gig, it was the start of November, and it was scheduled for the end of March. Mm-hmm. And that was originally when the EP was going to come out, so it was going to coincide and kind of be like a launch show. Then obviously COVID was continuing to be rife, so I pushed the gig back to the 7th of May, and so I also pushed the EP back to that date. But then, unfortunately, we had to move the gig again, and to play it safe, we moved it to the middle of July because we thought, well, hopefully by then things should have settled down a little bit more. But I didn't want to push the EP release back again because I'd already sat on it for so long. So I pushed the EP back just to a couple of weeks later to the 28th, and the gig's taking place in July. Tell
us a bit about the EP itself then.
Well, I think it's a kind of the record that I've always wanted to make, really. I've always liked kind of acoustic-driven, like melodic music. There's some rockier moments on it too, but it's a bit more mature, a bit more melancholic. And it's kind of like a record like my songwriting heroes, really, like Tom Petty and Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen, those kind of people. I know I'm comparing myself to some quite lofty people there.
They say exactly the same, actually. They say, I want to sound like that Sam Lambeth.
Oh God, yeah, when they're drunk, maybe. Yeah, and obviously when I was in different bands, it was always difficult to go down that route because we were always geared up to play live. So there was a lot more energy, and it was more about kind of having more distorted guitars and, you know, having that kind of energetic rock music. It was very rare that we could make these more kind of delicate, slower songs. So when I went on my own and I wasn't sure if I would even gig, I thought this would be a great time just to have no rules in the studio and add different instruments. So there's piano, mandolin, harmonica, not worry about replicating it live, and also just kind of making more of an acoustic record, and you know, taking the onus away from live gigs and more onto like the studio experience.
So this is much more music for you to enjoy and experiment with playing in, you know, a sort of closed environment.
Yeah, that was originally the plan, really. I worked on the songs during the lockdown, and I learnt harmonica and mandolin over lockdown because I wanted to change my sound a little bit and make it a bit more varied. And I bought a keyboard as well, but I wasn't particularly very good at that. So my friends Zoe played keyboard on that brilliantly as well. I have the piano part. Most people say that the best part of the record are the piano parts, so the parts that I didn't play, basically. Yeah, and at first I wasn't sure if I was even going to do gigs, and I went into the studio with that kind of in my mind. So I thought, well, anything I want to try, I'll just go for it, because I haven't got to worry too much about how am I going to replicate that live. So yeah, at first I wasn't too sure what the plan was. I just thought I'm going to go in, record it and release it, and maybe do gigs down the line, but it was never really on the agenda, really. So I think that helped. It made it a bit more liberating, really.
Yeah, there was no pressure to produce anything that was in any way specific. It was just you and your creativity being let loose.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I didn't go too crazy.
Yeah, bearing in mind we never know which version of Sam we're ever going to get when we do an interview, because I normally like to check before we start. And today we have Jim Sam, who is obviously on a health kick at the moment.
That's rare form. Yeah, well, the gyms have just reopened, haven't they? So I'm kind of going all the time, but it will probably plateau in a few weeks. But yeah, it was, like I say, as you say, there's always been different incarnations of me, and that's been dependent on kind of the music I've been writing at that time. And it's kind of conscious in a way, because if I'm listening to a certain genre, naturally when I start writing songs, it's going to mirror that. But at the same time, sometimes I'll sit down with a guitar and write something, and it will come out sounding like a particular genre, and then it's kind of like, well, the song is dictated where you want it to go, really. And that was kind of the case with this one. There was a few songs that I wrote on the acoustic guitar, and I just thought they've got a distinctly kind of Americana, alternative country kind of vibe. And so once I knew they were going to go down that route, it was just a case of like cultivating them, and like I said, that's why I got the harmonica and mandolin in. We're
going to take a listen to something, I hope. You're going to share a little tease for us now, aren't you?
How about The King, You and Me? That's the one everyone seems to like at the moment.
Okay, tell me a bit more about this one then.
So this was actually a song, that I wrote 10 years ago, just after the Monobloggers split, and obviously you remember the Monobloggers. And it's got that kind of Monobloggers sound, so obviously me and you know that, but the general public probably won't remember. it's kind of like an up-tempo, nostalgic alternative rock kind of vibe, similar to kind of REM and Counting Crows. It's a kind of like a melodic rocker, really. But I wrote it 10 years ago, and then I was in a few different bands over the past 10 years, and it never quite fit the sound of those bands. So when I went on my own, one of the first things I said to myself is, well, I finally want to record this song, because it's kind of been in my head now for a decade, and I want to just get it down. So yeah, I'm really glad that it's finally come out, and yeah, people seem to really like it. So I kind of wish I hadn't waited that long.
So is this the song you wanted it to be as well? Has it achieved what you had in your head?
Yeah, I think so. But I think it was also good that I waited, because over the years I've changed it a lot. So the chorus is exactly the same, and it's the same chords and the same kind of melody. But I always used to struggle with the verses, and I could have conceded and just said, "Oh, this will do." But I was never fully happy with it. And I think only over the past 18 months, did I get the complete song, as in like I was happy with the verses, happy with kind of the music that's on it. But yeah, the way when I listen to it now, it's definitely as closest to what I imagined it would be.
Okay, we'll take a listen. Meanwhile, though, all the details of the EP releases and how we get gig tickets, if there are any available still, please.
I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and it's all Sam Lambeth Music, so all one word, all lowercase. At the moment, the tickets are still sold out, but I don't know if they will remain sold out because obviously the gig's been moved so many times. I think there might be some people that can't make it anymore. And yeah, if you just check on those social media pages, there'll be updates to future gigs, and also obviously type Sam Lambeth into YouTube and Spotify and the songs will come on there too.
Yeah, you'll be able to see him in all his glory and all his incarnations and enjoy the musical sound that is Sam Lambeth. So great speaking to you, mate. Thank you for joining us, and we're very much looking forward to a full-on EP in your own right.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me back.
To you and me, what did I do to deserve this town? How uneasy lies the crown? How good it felt to be the king? Try to speed on rims for tires, hold the roofs like a bird on a wire, and yet I pass it off like no big thing. Is good, but I'm happy with my past, and all I ever wanna know is whatever happened, whatever happened to you and me, whatever happened. Times of old, and all I ever want to know. Whatever happened, whatever happened to you and me, whatever happened,
With He's Watching You in its final stages of pre-production planning, Joshua Griffiths is a very busy man. Due to start filming towards the end of August, he joins me now to tell me exactly what is happening. Hello, sir.
Hello.
So how's it all going?
Yeah, it's going really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, you've got quite an amazing team on this one. Tell me a bit more about how the production is sort of shaping up from this point of view.
Yeah, it's quite crazy because, as you know, as I've come on this show before, it's my films normally just me, myself, Jordan and Ryan in JGR Films, and that was it. We just pulled in outside actors and we gave people chances, and it was quite small productions. And then over lockdown, I started writing this horror, which has been sort of my plan for ages because I absolutely love sort of the Halloween franchises and all that with the serial. And I just wanted something different. I wanted to take a new take on the slasher movie, and which is where He's Watching You was born. And again, it was just supposed to be just the three of us with a couple of additions to friends adding in. And then I just happened to put a poster out on Facebook, and I had so much interest of people going, "Oh, is there a role for me? Is there a role for me? How about this? How about..." And it literally from there, we've just, it's gone mad. We've got executive producers, we've got a score composer, we've got, a possible distribution deal. It's just crazy.
But a lot of the work that you've been doing has all been heading towards this, and it's been very much showcasing what you can do, and also, as you say, those people that you're working with. And I think that's one of the interesting parts of independent cinema at the moment. All these producers are working on a lot of different projects, which are really impressing people. And when you've got the likes of Amazon and Netflix, they're starting to get picked up and moving into very much the mainstream. And this sounds like it's the potential that could be happening here.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, like I said, the distribution people that are running it at the moment, they're going to spend about £10,000 on it. Luckily, not coming out of my pocket. It's going to be a comeback sort of deal that when it then gets sold, they'll receive the 10 grand back, and then it'll be split 50-50, so it's quite a fair deal. But that's going to be sent to Netflix, Amazon, Shudder, DVD. It's going to be sent literally UK and USA. So again, that was something that just came out of the blue, and I was like, wow. So... Yeah.
And this is, once again, Midlands-based projects doing so well. We've seen it with a number of other production companies across the region. And with what you've done in the past, you've already started to get quite a lot of interest, haven't you? And I know that you work on some big projects yourself alongside all this, with plenty going on for you as soon as production gets back to full speed.
Definitely. Well, actually, the main filming of it's going to be the end of August, the 21st to the 28th. We've managed to get a location for that down in Manchester. It's a beautiful house in the middle of nowhere, so it'll add to that horror vibe. And then next Sunday, me and Jordan are going down to Ottershaw to film for a section of it with Sean Cronin, because he's going to play one of the police officers in it. So we're going to go down to like this little place where it's like a desk and quite a nitty-gritty police station sort of scenes then. But we're going down to Ottershaw. We're going to all do it COVID secure and everything. So that's good to actually be going somewhere and actually filming. So,
and as it says, it's the start of a recovery, and then the start of making sure continuity works as well, which is always the fun when you're filming over quite such a long period.
Yes, I mean, luckily, which comes natural with the script, which is great for us. This scene sort of flicks. I can't say too much because I don't want to spoil what's happening in it, but it sort of flicks between two officers. So there's one officer, which is his girlfriend in a car, travelling to the potential crime scene, and then you've also got Sean Cronin, who's playing her obviously boyfriend, who's in the station talking to her over the radio. So luckily for this scene, because it's such far apart from the next scenes, we don't have to worry too much about continuity. But obviously definitely when we come to the week in Manchester, when we're filming for the week, and obviously living there as well, and people coming and going and filming from the end and the beginning and the middle, that's going to be the stressful job.
Yeah, and particularly when you've got blood splatter in horror movies to take into account, that can be quite tricky.
Yes, we've got to be very careful with that, especially if obviously someone's house as well.
Yeah, so that will prove interesting. And where else can we be seeing what you've got going on at the moment? Because I know there's been the usual run of award ceremonies and an involvement and assessment for you there.
Yeah, I mean, I could mention them all, but there's too many. So if you check out my Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, basically under Facebook is just Joshua Griffiths. Instagram just the Joshua Griffiths actor now. I've set up a new Instagram and got rid of my old one, so it's all professional then. And then Twitter's me normal at JoshG98. And then obviously you can check it on YouTube under JGR Films and Vlogs with 2 Gs.
Check out the details and you can see what's going on with you and the team. And there'll be, I'm sure, on the Instagram page, some nice stills as you start to do the filming process and a bit of behind the scenes stuff, which I know people always find interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's a He's Watching You Facebook page as well, where all the trailers and all the distribution, everything could be released on there as well. So check that out, give it a like, follow it there.
Take a look and make sure you're one of the first to know. Josh, good luck with all this. Break a leg, I think we also have to say on the grounds it is part of the arts and entertainment industry. And we look forward to seeing that, because it's not going to be until probably late 2022 before we see the final product, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. Well, I've got to edit it all, then I've got to send it to the school who's actually in Italy.
Yeah.
So he's not even from England, so it's quite a distance to send. But we're working together at the minute as well, back and forth on scores. So, yeah, middle of next year, towards the end. We're hoping for perhaps a Halloween release, but obviously it'll depend on the distribution companies as well. So
yeah, and when they choose to go with it. Well, for now, Joshua Griffiths, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So Morgan from TPM Health and Fitness has actually been able to see real-life clients. I know he's living every minute of it. He joins me now to tell me more about what's going on in his world and what it's like being back in the gym for a couple of weeks now. Hello, sir.
Hello, thank you for having me again.
Well, it's always good to talk to you, and we get a weekly update from you on some tips and things to try to get people into not only the right state of physical health, but also mental health through their physical health as well. And I know that's something which has been important to you over the years of your training, and it must be great being back working with people in real life and really starting to help them continue their work they've been doing with you online over the last few weeks, months, and years in some cases.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been it's been tougher this last lockdown, trying to keep people motivated. I think the first lockdown, obviously, the majority of people are at home, the sun's shining, they're getting 80% of their wage while not working, and everybody's got time for fitness then. And then obviously during this last lockdown, we've had rubbish weather. It's been freezing cold. Everybody's been working from home, so you're working during all the light hours. So getting people motivated to exercise after that has been a challenge. So yeah, having the gym back is definitely a good thing.
But you've risen to that challenge, and I know you've been working with an awful lot of clients, and the constant stream of great ideas coming through your socials as well, I think genuinely helps people. I mean, you're all about helping people. Obviously, if people want to buy your time, to help them through, that's important, because that's how you make your living. But you do like to share that inspiration, and once people have been inspired by what you're saying, that is when they do turn to you for further help, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of the time. I mean, a lot of people just take the free information and run with it, which is fine, because I mean, that's how my first 7 or 8 years of training went, me taking free information wherever I could get it and trying to apply it to myself. We always look at paying for a coach as like a way of shortcutting that. You can probably do it on your own, but it would be a lot quicker with the help of somebody who knows what they're doing.
And potentially safer as well, because you've got somebody keeping an eye on what's actually going on. And I mean, what's it been like, the atmosphere going back to the gym? Obviously, everything is still sensibly socially distanced. People are behaving, and you've got an even greater reason to give that person who doesn't wipe the machine down after they've used it a filthy look. But it is important that we are being sensible during all of this.
Yeah, and generally, I mean, there's always going to be the odd one here or there that doesn't bother, but the vast majority of people are being really good, because we obviously know this is not our first time coming back after a lockdown now. Mm-hmm. Everybody's very aware of what can happen if people aren't as careful as they should be. But the atmosphere has been really good. It's everybody seems just like a weight's been lifted, with the gyms going back, but then other things like being able to see people outdoors and stuff like that. The whole mood seems to have been lifted a little bit, and that helps with everything. But from my point of view, it helps with getting people motivated in the gym, because if you've got you've got somewhere to go to train, that makes it easier to look after the diet side of things as well, because it's hard to do one without the other. And you get to see people outside, you get to interact with people from a distance, obviously, in the gym. But yeah, all of these things add up to people being in a better mood, and people being in a better mood, is never a bad thing.
No, it all helps. And obviously, if somebody hasn't been back yet and they're a little bit wary to do so, working with a personal trainer is another good way of doing that, because it does mean you've got somebody watching your back at the same time, not only from keeping you in the right track when it comes to using the equipment, but also making sure no one's wandering up on you when they shouldn't be too. So it's kind of good to be part of a team and hopefully take away some of people's fears.
Yeah, definitely. I think having somebody with you is often a benefit. Obviously, I do the vast majority of my work online still now, so I do my coaching through there. But people are generally really respectful. Obviously, I can only speak for the gym that I train in. I can't speak for everywhere else, but I can't think of an example where people have been sort of disrespectful of the rules. And generally, like, this is something that I always say to people that are going into the gym for the first time, because I think there's this misconception that when you go in for the first time, or for the first time in a long time, you're very self-conscious. You think everybody's looking at you, or must be doing something wrong or something like that. And it's just not the case. It's not the case at all. People are there to do their own thing. It's not, people aren't worried about what other people are doing. So yeah, if you do ever have any anxiety about getting into the gym, it's really nowhere near as bad as you think.
So you are there to help and assist, and so this can be done online as well, so that is another great part of it. And people can work on one-to-one sessions with you, and also use videos and the like that you produce. And having seen your work, it's a very interesting way of doing it, because you will talk people through what's going on. You've done exercise videos in the past whereby you've demonstrated and then run a commentary over the top, and which means that you can speak from experience on, you knew which bits were really pulling and aching as you were doing it, so you could tell how it actually was working.
Yeah. Everybody who works with me directly gets the full exercise library. So me and Sam, my partner, spent maybe 5 or 6 hours in the gym as I was leaving my last job in the gym, between, I think it was 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. on a Friday night, recording all of the videos and then doing the voiceovers. So yeah, there's about 80 or so videos. So there's always that. And everybody that doesn't have, if there's exercises that aren't already in the exercise library, which we've had through the lockdown, people get videos through WhatsApp of me performing exercises in my garden and demonstrating those. So yeah, there's always help with form and stuff like that working online. Yeah, but I mean, there is the gym, I say, and there is still a lot you can do around home. And if you do not want to pay a gym membership but just want to pay your PT instead, actually that can work really well too. Yeah, especially now, if you're somebody who wants to train at home, now is probably the time, because every coach has had nearly a year of practice of training people at home and still getting the same results. So last March when everything closed, it was a little bit of trying to find our feet with it, but by now, just as comfortable programming for somebody at home as we are in the gym, because we've had a lot of practice.
Okay, so what would this week's tip be from you then? What are you thinking towards just at the moment?
So my tip probably for this week is, from my experience in the last few weeks, the gyms are quite busy. They're obviously capped to a level so that it can't be too busy with the COVID regulations, but they are quite busy. So what I would say is, if you're going into the gym, make sure you're going in with a set plan of what you want to get done. Because if you're going in without a plan to a gym that's quite busy, it's quite easy to spend a lot of time going, oh, maybe I'll use that, or it's busy, I'll go and use that, oh, that's busy. Know exactly what you want to do when you get in there. It'll make it much easier to get in and get out without spending too much time wandering around thinking about what you've got to get done.
And that is always easier when you've got a plan from a personal trainer, and this is where you come in and you can assist there. Give us all your details as ever, so we can make sure people are getting in touch and they can look at how they can book you and buy a package with you, which is really going to help them make some great leaps forward.
Yeah, so easiest place to find me is going to be on Instagram, which is at @TPM_health and fitness, but you can find me on Facebook under the same name, and the email address, if you want to contact me directly, is tommorganfitness@gmail.com.
So TPM Health Fitness is what we're looking out for, as we say, at various underscores and the like. You're tracking down, you're looking for him, and it'll be that simple. Tom, always good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us, and keep up the good work and keep getting people fit.
Thank you very much. Will do.
That's all for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 620 next week. I look forward to seeing you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar.